I never thought humiliation could taste so bitter, especially when served at your own sister's birthday party. To Ashley, the only successful one in the family, my dad said, raising his glass with a proud smile. Laughter filled the room, people clinking glasses, snapping selfies, and nodding in agreement like they all forgot I existed. Ashley smirked, looking directly at me from across the table. And to my little sister, Melanie, she added loudly, who's still figuring life out, at 29. The room erupted with chuckles. I forced a smile, but my stomach turned. I glanced down at my paper plate, half-eaten cake, crumbs sticking to the cheap plastic fork, wishing I could vanish into it. My cheeks burned, not from the wine, but from every judging eye in the room. I wanted to scream. Instead, I swallowed it. And then she said it, the line that would haunt me for weeks. I mean, not everyone's built for success. Some people just don't have it. She winked, laughed, moved on. But something inside me cracked. I didn't cry. I didn't argue. I just quietly made a decision. If she wanted a failure, I'd give her one she'd never forget. Before I explain what happened next, let me tell you how we got here. Ashley and I used to be close. As kids, we shared a bunk bed, a diary, and even crushes. But something shifted after college. She got a fancy job in marketing straight out of school and started posting daily about hustle life and bossing up. Meanwhile, I tried everything, graphic design, catering, nannying, nothing seemed to stick. Mom used to say I had a creative soul, but creative souls don't pay rent. Every time Ashley got a promotion, she made sure I knew. She'd say things like, "You're just too soft for the real world, Mel, or maybe you should find a rich boyfriend instead." I laughed it off, but it stung. And the more I tried, the more she mocked me. At family events, she turned every success story into her own reality show. I was always the forgotten background character. And the worst part? Everyone believed her. I didn't tell anyone what I'd been working on for the past year. While Ashley was chasing brand deals and posting curated selfies, I was building something in silence. I had no office, no budget, and no team, just a laptop, long nights, and a stubborn dream. I'd started consulting for small businesses on the side. It started slow, but soon, I was building websites, running ads, and designing full brand packages. By the time Ashley got her second promotion, I had 3 employees and 10 clients. Still, I said nothing. I let her talk. I let them all laugh. Because I knew something they didn't. I'd just landed a major contract with the very company Ashley was now working for. They wanted to outsource their entire digital department. And guess who they picked to handle payroll and branding? The first time I saw Ashley's name on the new employee spreadsheet, I froze. There it was, Ashley Thomas, marketing lead. Right under my client's logo. I scrolled to the next column, salary distribution, approved by Melanie Thomas, lead strategist. That's when it hit me. My name. My signature. On her paycheck. She had no idea. Not yet. But I wasn't going to tell her. I wanted her to find out the way she made me feel for years, slowly, painfully, with nowhere to run. The moment came 2 weeks later. I had to attend a Zoom meeting with the department heads, my camera off, my voice disguised under a company username. Ashley was presenting a new campaign. "We'll need approval from the strategist team," she said. The HR manager nodded. "Already approved. Melanie Thomas signed off last night." There was silence. I watched her eyes twitch. "Melanie," she said, confused. "That's my sister's name." The HR manager smiled. "Oh, that's right, you're related. Small world." Ashley laughed nervously, but I saw it. The crack in her perfect smile. The confusion in her eyes. And that was just the beginning. Chapter 2, the name on the check. 3 days after the Zoom meeting, I got a call from HR. "Hey Melanie, just a heads up, Ashley requested your contact details." We didn't give them, obviously, but she seemed surprised. "Everything okay?" I forced a laugh. "Totally fine. Probably just a family thing." But inside, I was buzzing. The moment I'd been waiting for was closer than ever. I knew my sister well, too well. She'd go digging. She'd ask questions. She'd pull strings. And eventually, she'd open her paycheck. Not just any paycheck. The one with my name printed right across the bottom. The one I'd signed electronically. I even added a small note on the stub, hidden but readable if you looked closely. Failure approved this. Petty? Maybe. But after years of being her punching bag, it felt more like poetry. I imagined her in her designer apartment, sitting at that marble kitchen counter, peeling open her envelope with the same smug energy she used to criticize my gig jobs. I could picture her face when she saw it, my name, not Dad's, not some corporate robot, but mine. I'd taken everything she'd said about me, every dig, every fake smile, and turned it into fuel. And now, her precious income ran through me. But the most satisfying part. She still hadn't called. No apology. No message. Just silence. That told me everything. She wasn't just shocked. She was embarrassed. Maybe even ashamed. The next Sunday was our monthly family dinner. I debated skipping it, but something told me to go. If Ashley wanted to confront me, it would be in front of an audience, just like her insults always were. I showed up in jeans and a black hoodie, nothing flashy, just comfortable. When I walked in, Ashley was already there, sitting on the couch, phone in hand, wine glass half full. Her eyes locked onto mine like a hawk. She didn't smile. "Hey, sis," she said slowly, like each word had to push through pride. "Got a second?" My heart thudded, but I nodded. We stepped outside onto the porch. The air was cold, sharp. I could smell tension more than the trees. "I got my paycheck last week," she began, arms folded. "Congrats," I said, deadpan. She ignored that. "Your name was on it." Pause. "Like, on my check. Signed." I shrugged. "Yeah. That's how it works. I handle payroll for the firm now." She stared at me like she didn't recognize who I was. "How? When? What, even is your job?" I leaned against the railing, calm. "Let's just say I'm the strategist your company couldn't afford not to hire." Her jaw tightened. "Why didn't you say anything?" I smiled. "Why would I? You said I was a failure, remember? Figured you weren't interested in hearing about my soft little job." Her face flushed red. For the first time ever, she had no comeback. But I wasn't done. "Remember that toast at your party?" I asked quietly. "You said I wasn't built for success. That I didn't have it." She nodded slowly, biting her lip. "Well," I continued, "I built something. Quietly. While you were busy chasing clout. And now, every time you get paid, you're cashing in on my failure." Silence stretched between us like a rope ready to snap. Then she spoke, her voice barely above a whisper. "I didn't know. I didn't think." I cut her off. "Yeah. That was the problem." Suddenly, the porch light flickered. Mom called from inside, "Dinner's ready." Ashley turned to go back in. I stopped her. "Oh, and Ashley?" She looked back. "Next month's checks will have direct deposit. No envelope surprises. Just letting you know." Her mouth opened slightly, but no words came out. Dinner felt like a performance. Ashley played her part, smiling tightly, making small talk, and pretending everything was normal. But I saw it. The stiffness in her shoulders, the way she poked at her food instead of eating it. Our parents sat at the head of the table, gushing over Ashley's recent presentation at work. "Your boss must be so proud," Mom said, pouring more iced tea into her glass. "He is," Ashley replied, glancing at me. "But turns out, there's someone even higher up than him, someone I didn't expect." I didn't flinch. I just kept eating my mashed potatoes. Let her sweat. Dad turned to me. "And how's the job search going, Mel?" It hit me like a slap, even though he meant well. Ashley didn't correct him. She just sipped her wine. I swallowed my bite and wiped my mouth slowly. "Job's going great. Actually, I hired 2 new people last week." Mom raised an eyebrow. "Hired? Wait, you're managing a team now?" I nodded. "Something like that." Ashley dropped her fork. "She's not just managing a team," she blurted. "She owns the firm that runs our company's digital strategy. She's been signing my checks." Dead silence. Forks paused. Eyes widened. Dad blinked twice. Come again. Ashley exhaled, clearly annoyed now. Melanie's not unemployed. She's the one our CEO outsourced our department to. She's basically my boss. You could hear the record scratch in the air. Mom's jaw dropped. She whispered. But how? I shrugged. While you all were busy wondering when I'd get serious, I was just doing the work. Quietly. I didn't need applause. I glanced at Ashley. And definitely didn't need a toast. Dad coughed awkwardly and reached for his water. Well, that's impressive. But it wasn't praise. It was confusion. Like the world had shifted and they were trying to find gravity again. Ashley was seething now. Why didn't you say anything, Mel? Were you just waiting to embarrass me? I looked at her calmly. You embarrassed yourself. I just signed the check. She opened her mouth, but before she could answer, Mom stepped in. Okay, let's not turn dinner into a fight. Too late. The truth was already out there, steaming in the middle of the table like the meatloaf. And now, everyone had to chew on it. That night, Ashley sent me a text. So is this revenge or something? I stared at it for a long time. Then typed back. No. This is just me finally showing up. But deep down, I knew that wasn't the full truth. Because what she didn't know was that this story wasn't over. I had more than a signature. I had a seat at the table now, and I wasn't giving it up. The next week, Mom called me out of nowhere. Sweetie, do you have time to help me update my LinkedIn? I figured, since you're in tech now. I almost laughed. The same woman who used to slide job fair flyers under my door was now treating me like an expert. I said yes, of course I wasn't petty like Ashley. But I noticed something strange. Every conversation now ended with a version of, "We're so proud of you," followed by some polite probing. What exactly do you do again? Is this like a startup? Do you have, like, real employees? I get it. In their minds, success meant a title on a door or a 401k from a Fortune 500 company. Not someone like me, in hoodies and sneakers, managing a digital agency from a rented workspace downtown. But suddenly, I mattered. People in the family started sending me their resumes, asking for job advice. Even Uncle Mike, who once called my freelance work playing on the computer, wanted help building a website for his handyman business. I didn't mind. I actually liked helping. What bothered me was why they suddenly cared. Ashley, on the other hand, wasn't taking this shift well. She posted less on Instagram. No more braggy captions or boomerang champagne toasts. At work, she was quieter too. My client forwarded me a Slack screenshot. Ashley had asked, "Who's in charge of approving this rebrand? It's holding us up." The reply? Melanie, per contract. Please loop her in. She never messaged me. Not once. But I knew she hated it. Having to depend on me. Having to respect me. That was the real blow. One Friday, I dropped by the company office to meet the CEO for a quarterly update. It wasn't my usual style. I liked staying behind the curtain, but he insisted. It'd be good for the team to see the face behind the strategy, he'd said. When I walked in, heads turned. Some smiled politely. Others just stared. And then I saw her. Ashley. At her desk, typing. She looked up. Our eyes met. And for a second, I saw her mask drop. Shock. Anger. Maybe even something close to sadness. She stood slowly and walked over. "You're really here," she said, folding her arms. I nodded. "Just a check-in. With my boss." I smiled. "Our client." She lowered her voice. "This whole thing, it's changed everything. I can't even breathe at work." I stepped closer, not out of malice, but clarity. "Ashley, you were so busy trying to look like a success, you didn't notice I became one." Her lips parted, but nothing came out. "Don't worry," I added. "I'm not here to gloat. I'm here to grow. You can either be part of it, or stay mad. Your call." She turned away before I could see her reaction. But I didn't need to. Because that day, she realized something. Her entire identity was built on being the better sister. And now that title no longer belonged to her. Ashley didn't show up to the Monday meeting. Her manager said she called in sick, but I knew better. She wasn't sick, she was spiraling. For someone who built her life around being seen, the idea of me quietly overtaking her wasn't just uncomfortable, it was shattering. That week, I noticed she unfollowed me on all social media platforms. Petty, yes. But that wasn't what caught my attention. What hit me was how she suddenly deleted half her posts. The ones with captions like "Be the boss they said you'd never be" or "Some people talk, I build." It was like she didn't want anyone to compare anymore. Or maybe, for the first time, she realized those quotes didn't fit her story. She was no longer the sister with the shiny life and the perfect job. And in her mind, if she wasn't on top, what was she? I could have reached out. Could have texted, "Hey, you okay?" But the truth was, I wasn't ready to forgive. Not yet. Because for years, I lived under her shadow while she used my failures as punchlines. And now, for the first time, she had to sit with her own silence. Still, part of me felt bad. Not enough to go back, but enough to remember who Ashley used to be. Before all the rivalry. Before success turned into a scoreboard. We weren't always like this. As kids, we built blanket forts in the living room and stayed up all night sharing secrets. She taught me how to ride a bike. I taught her how to keep a diary lock from jamming. We were partners in crime until life taught her that being the best meant someone else had to lose. I just didn't expect that someone to be me. The saddest part? I think she forgot we were sisters before we were competitors. That maybe, just maybe, both of us could have won if we had chosen to build each other up instead of tearing each other down. But she made her choice. And I made mine. A week later, I got an email from HR. Ashley had submitted a formal request to be moved to a different department. The reason? Conflicting leadership communication. I sighed. I knew what that meant. She couldn't take it. She couldn't work under a system where I had any kind of authority. My client forwarded the form to me for approval. I stared at it for a long time. One click, and she'd be free from my shadow. Free to start over. Or run, depending on how you looked at it. I hovered over the approve button. My finger twitched. Then I closed the email. Not out of cruelty, but because she needed to sit in this just a little longer. It wasn't punishment. It was clarity. And sometimes, clarity takes time. Later that night, I stood on the balcony of my apartment, looking out at the city lights. I thought about how far I'd come. No big announcements. No trophies. Just hard work in silence. And now, the girl everyone called a failure was the one writing the checks. The one calling the shots. The one her sister had to answer to. But this wasn't just about revenge. It was about respect. Self-respect. I had found my voice, and it didn't need to shout to be heard. It just needed to be steady. Unshakable. Mine. 2 weeks passed without a word from Ashley. No emails. No calls. No cryptic social media posts. Just silence. At first, it was a relief. No tension. No digs. No pretending to be okay while waiting for her next comment to cut me down. But then the quiet started to feel heavy. Like something important had been removed and replaced with emptiness. We weren't fighting anymore, but we also weren't anything. Not friends. Not rivals. Just strangers with the same last name. And that hurt more than I expected. Not because I missed the insults, but because I realized how much I'd hoped she would change. That maybe, after seeing the truth, she'd come around. Apologize. Try. But she didn't. And that silence. That was her answer. Meanwhile, things on my end were changing fast. My firm landed 2 new contracts, both worth 6 figures. I had to expand the team. Hire a new project manager. Upgrade our systems. People were starting to ask me to speak on panels, lead workshops, even mentor young entrepreneurs. Me, the girl who used to cry after interviews that went nowhere. The same one Ashley called directionless. I wasn't just growing. I was becoming seen. And for once, I didn't feel like I was faking it. I belonged here. But even in all the noise of success, her silence still echoed. I thought it would feel like freedom. Instead, it felt like something was unfinished. Like we were both stuck on a page neither of us wanted to turn. Then one evening, out of the blue, she showed up at my office. No call. No warning. Just Ashley, standing in the lobby in a blazer and heels, looking like she belonged there but clearly uncomfortable. I froze when I saw her through the glass. My assistant buzzed in. "There's a woman here to see you. Says her name is Ashley Thomas." My heart raced, but I kept my voice steady. "Send her in." She walked in slowly, scanning the space. The exposed brick walls. The minimalist furniture. The team members working quietly in their pods. This wasn't a side hustle anymore. It was a real company. Built brick by brick. And she was standing in the middle of it. She sat across from me in my office without saying a word. For a long moment, we just stared at each other. Her eyes were red, like she hadn't slept. Or maybe like she had cried. "I thought I could ignore it," she said finally. "Pretend like it didn't matter. But it does. You matter." And I was wrong. Her voice cracked on the last word. I didn't rush to respond. I let it hang there. Because that wasn't just an apology. That was a collapse. Years of pride, control, and curated perfection crashing down in one broken sentence. "I hurt you," she added quietly. "Over and over. And I don't know how to fix that. But I want to try." I swallowed the lump in my throat. "It's not about fixing," I said softly. "It's about honesty, respect, and stopping the cycle." She nodded, wiping her eyes. "I'm ready." For the first time in years, I believed her. But belief isn't enough. Now she had to earn it. The next day, I found a handwritten note on my desk. No envelope, no signature, but the sharp, looping cursive told me it was Ashley. If I had just one chance to rewrite our story, I'd start by listening. Really listening. If there's a place for me beside you, not behind or in front, I'd like to find it. My chest tightened. It wasn't flashy or dramatic. It was quiet. Like a whisper after a storm. That afternoon, I asked my assistant to clear my calendar. I needed space, not just in my schedule, but in my heart. I walked to the coffee shop we used to go to as kids. The one with the crooked chairs and sugar packets we'd hoard. I texted her the location and just one word: talk. She showed up 20 minutes later, still in heels but without makeup. Her armor was off. We sat across from each other like we had so many times before, but this time, everything was different. She didn't try to take control of the conversation. She didn't come with excuses. She just listened. "I always felt like I had to win," she confessed, stirring her drink. Like being the favorite, the successful one, was the only way I could matter. I nodded slowly. "I know. But your wins made me feel small. And the more you won, the more I disappeared." Her eyes welled up. "I didn't realize that. I just wanted Mom and Dad to be proud. I thought, if I kept shining, maybe they'd see me. Maybe you would see me." I blinked. "I did see you, Ash. That was the problem. You never saw me." We talked for hours. About the birthday toast that started it all. About the years of one-sided competition. About the broken pieces we never admitted were there. No one cried loudly. No dramatic music played in the background. Just two sisters finally choosing truth over pride. And something incredible happened. The bitterness started to fade. We weren't best friends again, not yet. But for the first time in a long time, we were human to each other. And that felt like enough. As we stood to leave, Ashley looked me in the eyes and said, "I want to work with you, not just under your name." It wasn't a power grab. It was a genuine offer. "If you'll have me," she added. I thought about it for a moment. About all the nights I wished she'd say those exact words. About how long I waited to feel seen by her. And now that I had it, I didn't want revenge anymore. I wanted partnership. "You can start with community outreach," I said. "We need someone to build our brand trust, public speaking, non-profit collabs, mentorship." "That your thing?" Her face lit up. "That's exactly my thing." She reached out her hand. I looked at it, then smiled. No handshakes, I said. And we hugged instead. Ashley started the next Monday, no special title, no parade, just a quiet onboarding session with my HR lead and a simple desk in the open workspace. She showed up early, in sneakers for once, with her hair tied back and no camera-ready makeup. That alone told me she was serious. She spent the first day shadowing our outreach coordinator, asking thoughtful questions and taking notes. By week's end, she had already scheduled 2 partnership meetings with local nonprofits and drafted a community engagement calendar for the next quarter. It was weird watching her blend in. The girl who used to make every room about her was now just part of the team. Not above them. Not behind me. Just one of us. The team responded better than I expected. A few knew our backstory, especially Jade, my project manager, who once saw Ashley's birthday toast resurface on my private story feed. But no one gave her a hard time. If anything, they admired how she owned her space without acting entitled. I saw something in Ashley I hadn't seen in years: humility. Not the fake kind, but the real, uncomfortable kind that comes after you've been broken open. She stayed late, asked for feedback, and even joined our brainstorming lunches, where everyone pitched wild marketing ideas and voted anonymously. When her idea, launching a mentorship event called Failure Approved, got the most votes, we all turned to her, stunned. I figured, she said with a sheepish grin, if I'm gonna eat my words, I might as well feed others with them. By the end of the month, the shift was undeniable. Our agency felt stronger, more human. And Ashley, she was different. Softer, sharper, and strangely, fun. We started laughing again. Grabbing lunch. Texting about things other than work. It was like that little window of childhood had cracked open again, letting in some light. But I still had questions. Was this real? Was it lasting? Or was it just temporary remorse wrapped in professional ambition? One afternoon, I invited her to the rooftop where I sometimes worked late. We stood under the orange glow of a setting sun, sipping iced tea, watching the city pulse below us. You know this won't be easy, right? I said. The higher we grow, the more people will watch. Wait for cracks. She nodded. Let them watch. If they're going to stare, they might as well see us build something real. I smiled. Real takes work. She smiled back. So does healing. For the first time, I didn't feel like I had to protect my success from her. I didn't feel like a fraud. I felt like a leader. A sister. A woman who had rebuilt herself from ashes. As the city lights blinked on below us, Ashley leaned her head on my shoulder. You're not a failure, Mel, she whispered. I know, I said. But hearing you say it still matters. Our mentorship event, Failure Approved, launched 2 months later in a packed co-working space downtown. We expected maybe 30 people. Over 100 showed up. College students. First-time founders. People with broken dreams and big questions. And there we were, Ashley and I, on stage, side by side. She introduced me as the quiet genius who used to sign my checks, and the crowd laughed. But then she added something I didn't expect. What they don't tell you about failure is that it's not the opposite of success, it's the doorway to it. And this woman? She walked through that door long before anyone realized it. She turned to me and smiled. Not for show. Not for applause. Just a sister giving credit where it was long overdue. I choked back a tear. That single sentence made all the years of doubt and humiliation worth surviving. After the event, a young woman approached us. She looked nervous but determined. I used to think success had to look loud, she said. But then I heard your story. And now, I think I just need to keep going. Ashley handed her a business card. Keep going. And when you fall forward. We'll be here. In that moment, I saw the magic of what we were building. Not just a company. Not just a platform. But a mirror reflecting the parts of people they thought were too broken to matter. We weren't just healing each other. We were helping others do the same. That weekend, Mom invited us both over for dinner. For once, no weird tension hung in the air. No backhanded comments or invisible scorecards. Just warmth. Connection. Growth. After dessert, Dad pulled me aside. I didn't get it before, he said, clearing his throat. Thought you were just figuring things out. But you weren't lost. You were building. And I'm proud of you. It was awkward. Dad had never been great with feelings, but it landed. And when Ashley hugged me before leaving, I knew it was real this time. No cameras. No ego. Just love. Monday morning, I walked into the office early and found a small envelope on my desk. No name. Just a sticker with our company logo and a wax seal, Ashley's idea. Inside was a printed copy of her most recent paycheck. On it, she had circled the bottom in red pen. My signature. She'd written 3 words beneath it. Not just ink. I stood there for a long moment, holding the paper. Because she was right. It wasn't just a signature. It was proof that even when no one believed in me, I signed for myself. That signature was earned through failure, grit, silence, and self-respect. And now the world was finally seeing the face behind it. The final quarter of the year came fast, contracts flying in, our team doubling in size, and clients requesting me by name. I was no longer just Melanie, the freelancer, or Ashley's younger sister. I had my own reputation now. The kind that didn't need defending. But even with all that growth, it wasn't the success that felt most satisfying. It was the peace. For the first time, my success didn't feel like a weapon. It didn't need to be rubbed in anyone's face. I no longer needed to prove anything to my parents, the world, or Ashley. The war was over. And somehow, we'd both won, not in competition, but in connection. Ashley had grown too. She pitched a new project, a startup incubator for first-generation entrepreneurs, and the board approved it under our brand. I made her project lead. Not as a favor, but because she earned it. Her presentations were stronger. Her feedback was sharper. She no longer led with ego, but with empathy. We had a system now, balance. I handled the back end, she led the spotlight. We complemented each other in ways we never had growing up. And one day, while grabbing lunch in the break room, she looked at me and said, "You know, I used to think being the best meant being first. But now, I think being the best just means being real." I nodded. "Took us long enough to get here." She grinned. "Well, some lessons are worth the journey." Weeks later, we were invited to speak at a national Women in Business Summit. Big stage. Bright lights. Thousands of people. They introduced us as sisters, founders, and forces behind the fastest-growing creative agency in the region. As I stepped up to the microphone, I looked at Ashley and took a breath. "This isn't a story about rivalry," I began. "It's a story about resilience. About being told you're not enough, and quietly proving one decision at a time that you are." The room went silent. My sister once told a room full of people I was a failure. And maybe, back then, she believed it. Maybe, I did too. But today, I smiled. Today, she gets paid under a signature she used to laugh at. And now, she signs beside me. The applause was thunderous. Not for revenge. Not for ego. But for growth. That night, as we packed up and left the venue, Ashley handed me a small box. Inside was a custom pen, engraved with the words, "Failure approved. Future guaranteed." I laughed, tears in my eyes. "You really like branding everything, don't you?" She winked. "Only the things that matter." And as we walked into the night, side by side, I knew this wasn't just a comeback story. It was a beginning. Signed. Sealed. Respected. The end. Do not forget to subscribe if you love the story.